Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this one was actually messaged to me and recommended by a friend, and it's definitely interesting. This post was clicked by DirectCaterpillar77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is SGP Throwaway 121216, posted to r/relationship advice May 31st, 2020. I, 26 male, destroyed my girlfriend's, 24 female, plants in a fit of rage, and I think she may leave me. Okay, I'm a long-time Reddit observer, but first-time poster, so I apologize if I do anything wrong. I've been in a relationship with the girl of my dreams for almost 7 years. She is the light of my life. We met in college, and it was love at first sight for me. She's the most loving, goal-minded, smart, creative, gentle person I know. Our relationship has always been pretty peaceful. Even when we fight, it's not so much fighting as it is just talking about our frustrations and maybe some tears shed. I've had a rough couple of months. I got laid off, rejected from my top-choice grad school, had to dump a huge chunk of our savings into a new car when mine took a crap. Looking back, I think all of this contributed to what happened that night. I truly feel like I blacked out. I've never had an episode like this in my life. Last week, we were arguing about some financial decisions that we were trying to come to an agreement on. Like she always does, when an argument has drained her for the day, she sighed, rubbed her eyes, stood up and kissed my cheek and said she was making some tea, we have tea every night, and asked if I wanted some before bed. I always know this is a sign that she can't productively continue the argument anymore right now. She needs to refocus and recharge. For whatever reason, I didn't accept it that night. I asked her to sit down so we could continue. I was sick of arguing and wanted to push through until it was over. She responded that she would not be contributing for the rest of the night and that I am welcome to come to bed whenever I'm ready. She put my tea on the table in front of me and took hers to the bedroom. When she walked out of the kitchen, I called for her 3 more times, insisting that she come back to talk, and she ignored me. Something in me snapped. Instead of having tea, I started drinking. I drink maybe once or twice a year. All we had in the house was a bottle of nasty brandy. She has this room in the back of our house that's mostly windows. She's put a lot of time and money into it. It's her plant room. She put in new floors and custom shelves that she built herself to hold plants. My girlfriend's plant room has always been her special place. Her career is pretty demanding and does a lot of speaking with important people, and at the end of the day, she's often looking to escape somewhere. She has a bookshelf to keep her favorite books out there, and all these cool-looking plants. One of them got passed down from her great-grandma or someone, and a lot of them are from other countries. I think she names them. Or maybe that's the actual names of the plants, I don't know. Sometimes I'd go out there to spend time with her, and she would always be wiping the leaves and gushing about the way the light is coming in, or how excited she was about a new plant she was expecting in the mail. Her plant room was probably her most favorite space. The walls literally looked green because she had so many. I don't know. I couldn't really keep up. I just liked to be near her. Sometimes I'd open the blinds in the house room to just watch her in her rocking chair reading around her plants. Anyway, so I snapped. I literally do not know. I backed my truck up and put every single plant in the room in the back, and I took them to the pond a few blocks from our house and dumped them in. Still drinking. Amazing I didn't crash my new truck. I passed out on the couch. The next morning, I got up, not remembering a lot until I saw her through the open blinds, sitting in the empty room. I immediately ran out there. My stomach hurt thinking about what I have done. Her eyes were so wide and full of tears. She kept taking these shaky breaths and looking around like she was seeing it for the first time, over and over. I told her I'm sorry. She asked what happened. I told her. She asked, my great-grandma's IV too? I said yes. She did this little sob thing. It was really quiet. She's never been a loud crier. Ever since then, my best friend is gone. She goes to work and comes home and sits in the empty room and looks out the window. She looks sad every night. I miss her. I miss her making tea for us before bed. I'm not saying I miss the tea. I'm capable of that myself. I just miss all the little ways she made my life complete. She was the most full of life I've ever seen a person. Sometimes she just grabbed me as I'm walking by and get up on her tiptoes and kiss me like it was the first time. My actions are killing me. She drifts past me like a ghost when she's near. She doesn't kiss me, doesn't return my affection. I want to start rebuilding her room, but I don't even know where to start. Please, Reddit, help me. If there is any hope for me to get my best friend and hopefully future wife back, I need help. Relevant comments. This comment by Red Rose Hips. This reminds me of this case study from Lundy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That? Quote, many years ago, I was interviewing a woman named Sheila by telephone. She was describing the rages that my client Michael would periodically have. He just goes absolutely berserk. You never know when he's going to go off like that. He'll just start grabbing whatever's around and throwing it. He heaves stuff everywhere, against the walls, on the floor. It's just a mess. And he smashes stuff, important things sometimes. Then it's like the storm just passes. He calms down and he leaves for a while. Later, he seems kind of ashamed of himself. I asked Sheila 2 questions. The first was, when things got broken, were they Michael's or hers? Or things that belonged to both of them? She left a considerable silence while she thought, then said, you know what? I'm amazed I've never thought of this, but he only breaks my stuff. I can't think of one thing he smashed that belonged to him. Next, I asked her who cleans up the mess. She answered that she does. I commented, see, Michael's behavior isn't nearly as berserk as it looks, and if he really felt so remorseful, he'd help clean up. OP didn't lose control. He made a calculated decision to hurt his girlfriend by destroying something she loves. He's a textbook abuser. Comment from user, let me help you out. Dude, you have to take a serious look at yourself. You didn't boil over and simply raise your voice, slam a door, or break a single object. You spent seemingly upwards of an hour maliciously dismantling and destroying a special place your girlfriend has spent years cultivating. Over what? Your girlfriend politely excusing herself from an argument that she knew wasn't productive? If I were her, I don't know how I could look at you the same way. Your behavior is so vindictive and out of nowhere that it's scary. Honestly, I have a hard time believing what you say about something like this never happening before in this relationship. You need to seek out counseling for this behavior. Comment from Bog Babe. You destroyed far more than her plants. You destroyed part of her soul. You deliberately and with malice destroyed what meant the most to her. The level of rage you demonstrated there is scary. What's almost as disturbing is the help you're asking for. You didn't ask how to make it up to her. You didn't ask if there's anything you can do to make her happy again or to minimize her pain. No. Your post was all about you. You miss her. You miss the tea. You miss her kisses. You miss how she made your life complete. You want her to go back so you can be happy again. All about you. Go think about that. Go get some therapy. Make things easy on your girlfriend and set her free while you work on you because you need a lot of work. Comment by TWP Bike. I really hope this is fake. The way it's written, setting the scene, it's disturbing. You didn't snap and break something of your own. You deliberately destroyed all that was most important to her. This is abuse. It takes time to get the truck, load on the plants, drive, and dump them. Planned, deliberate action, drinking or not. You're an abusive partner. She deserves better and you will never make this up to her. She will never trust you again. Again, I hope this is fake. If it isn't, I hope she leaves. Get help and don't drink ever again. OP updates on his relationship, June 1st, 2020. I appreciate everyone's comments, even though most of them were along the lines of a fuck you asshole. Firstly, I want to say I don't disagree with you. At your suggestion, therapy is my first priority tomorrow. Unfortunately, most of you have accurately predicted the outcome of my relationship, which is that it is no longer existent. I will still be doing everything I can to make it right for her. I have deleted the post at the request of my ex-girlfriend. Again, thanks for everyone's time. Later on OP's account, June 1st, 2020. I also want to clarify my account is about a month and a half old because I wanted to post a little bit ago looking for car advice. If you remember in my post, having to get a new car, but ended up just buying a new truck. Trust me, I wish these events were fake. Thanks everyone. So, the part about this that really gets to me, and it really bothers me, is it's one thing, still a despicable action mind you, for him to go into his girlfriend's plant room and just simply smash the pots in a drunken rage. That's one thing. And honestly, in a more kind of fucked up way, recoverable. The plants can be repotted, those that didn't die from shock. The plants have a chance of being recovered. But the actions that he took, the time that he spent going back and forth with every single pot, from the shed to the back of the truck, to the shed to the back of the truck, over and over again, bringing all of the plants to the back of it. And not once did it cross his mind, maybe I'm doing something wrong. He drove to the pond while drunk, and then started unloading them, smashing them into the water. And at no point with each plant that he threw into the pond did he ever think, maybe I'm taking this a bit too far. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I don't know which one's worse, because this is so malicious, diabolical, planned. It's targeted. Because going into the plant room in a drunken rage where he would have blacked out is destructive, yes, and abusive, without a doubt. But going the extra mile to make sure that nothing could ever be recovered is a whole other step. There's something about that. It's just evil. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Excellent Fee 3010, which the account is now deleted, posted to r/am I the asshole, would I be the asshole, public, September 16th, 2025. Am I the asshole for telling my parents that I will take them to the cleaners? This is a throwaway account because some of my family has my main one. This is a very long post that I can't really condense into a too long didn't read. The people I will mention in this are my mom, Jen, 50, my stepdad, Brian, 56, my brother, Tom, 23, and my sister, Ruth, 26. For background, Jen and Brian have been together since I was 11. Well, I say that, but 11 is the age I became aware of their relationship, as she asked if we would be okay with him moving into the family home. Prior to this, she never mentioned dating anyone, and we had never spent any time with Brian. None of our other immediate relatives ever mentioned him to us either. The day Jen asked us, Ruth sat next to me and asked to be excused to her bathroom. Tom was not home to have an input. I was stuck by myself with Jen, who did not seem to understand how she completely blindsided us. She had no interest in answering my question about why she had not told us. Her only interest was knowing if we accepted this stranger moving in. Brian moved in the following week. After Brian moved in, there were several times where both he and Jen threatened to move away without me, Tom and Ruth. They would say, "If you don't like it, they, will get a new house and start over." This threat could be in relation to something like Brian telling me I shouldn't be anywhere in the house except for my bedroom, and me standing up for myself. I used to get called stupid by Brian a lot if I did something he didn't like, such as finish my homework before going to dinner. He would say, "Only someone this stupid wouldn't think to eat first." Any grievance I had with Brian was never acknowledged by Jen. If I raised an issue with her, she would deflect and change the subject. Brian would cause a lot of problems knowing that there were no consequences for him. Brian never concealed the fact that he wanted Jen, and only Jen. We were her baggage that he only had to put up with for so many more years. Tom, Ruth, and I were no longer taken on family holidays. The last one we got to go on was when I was my godmother's bridesmaid and she had a destination wedding. I was 10. Jen and Brian would go on 3 holidays a year without us. Living under that roof was the loneliest I had ever felt. The second I became of age, I bought my first apartment and moved on. No more Brian, no more Jen. Tom and Ruth wanted to come with me, but Jen wouldn't allow it, and honestly, I don't know how I was to fight for them. I was working long shifts, sometimes nights. Though Ruth was a year younger than me, Tom was not. I doubt a court would appoint a fresh 18-year-old as their guardian with Jen in the picture. One thing I did leave in Jen's care was my valuable book collection. I won't disclose exactly how much it was worth, but it was in the 7-figure range. Some of these books were my inheritance. I was always told that they were to be looked after, never to be played with, and has to be stored correctly. I couldn't do that in my apartment, so Jen continued to keep them for me. I had no reason to distrust her with them. Earlier today, I called Tom as I was traveling home from seeing a friend. Tom mentioned that he had gone to Jen's house to collect some things. Because he was there, I asked Tom to find out if Jen had managed to get the remainder of my books authenticated. She and I had spoken about doing so a few weeks prior. Tom asked Brian about my books, and then Brian laughed and said, "What books? My books?" Tom said, "No. Her books that you have been looking after." Brian then repeated, "My books." I was listening to this through Tom's headphones, so I told him to get Brian to clarify. Tom asked Brian what he meant by his books. Brian said, "They're ours now. We bought them." My heart sank the moment I heard him say that. Jen was not home. I tried calling her. No answer. Eventually, she called me back a couple of hours later, but not before Brian called me a pathetic liar, and also spoke ill of Ruth and made claim to her books, which she had in fact sold years ago, still insisting mine were also his property. To confirm, I never sold anyone a single book. They did not buy me any books. All the books in my collection are to be sold at a future date or passed down to my children. Brian and Jen never gave me a single penny, so I can confirm this is not the case. Jen was unwilling to confront him about it. I am not allowing them to steal part of my children's inheritance. Jen agreed that she never bought my books, but Brian refuses to give them back to me. I told Jen that her inadequacy as a parent, failure to reprimand Brian over the years, and her lack of love for her own children has meant this moment was a long time coming. I said something along the lines of, "You neglected me, you allowed him to take my happiness away for years, you let him walk all over me. I will not let you steal from my children. If this is how it has to be, I will take you to the cleaners. I will report you both for theft. I will sue you for everything I can. I will cut you out of my life again. You mean nothing to me." I am not in need of legal advice on this. I have a lawyer. I just want to know if I was out of line with what I said to Jen. I was very emotional at the time. Thank you if you read all of this. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I don't think you're out of line. They were sucky parents. You told the truth. I have to ask though, is it documented that the books were left directly to you? Do you have a copy? OP responds, I do. I have payment receipts for the authentications as I have to send them abroad to get them done. I keep a spreadsheet so I can update it. Everything has been paid for by me and I can prove my ownership. I also have messages from Jen where we discuss my collection, including the number of books, their names, value, etc. Commenter 2. I would take the documents to the police station and ask them to provide an escort while you get your property back from your previous home. Don't give any warning that you're going to do this. OP responds, you're actually required to give notice about collecting property because it's called a breach of peace and access has to be given by those living at the property. In the case of this being theft, they could retrieve it for me with a warrant, but then it would probably become evidence. Civil versus criminal. Commenter 3. Do you have a list of every single book? Are they first editions? I hope you get them back. OP responds, I keep a spreadsheet that I regularly update with all their details, identification numbers, value, location, etc. Some are first editions, some are valuable and rare comics. It's a mix of a collection. Commenter 4. Some of them will be missing if you don't move them. How about renting a temperature-controlled storage unit and moving them permanently? Seriously, don't trust him or your flaky mom. OP responds, I bought a house and had storage made to specific requirements so that I can move my books to my property. That's partly why I wanted to know if she had sorted the other books for me. I'd rather move them all in one go and avoid seeing Brian. Commenter 5. Not the asshole, obviously, but I think we all want to hear some backstory about how a teenager acquired a 7-figure book portfolio, assuming we're not talking Pakistani rupees or something. Opie responds, I think I mentioned above, mostly inheritance. I added to my collection over the years. I wasn't a teenager when I inherited them. I was a child. Due to me being a child, Jen had physical care of them. But I was allowed to see them at any time, and she respected my wishes when it came to them. When I got my first job at 16, I had them valued by an appraiser. The value of the books, especially the kind I have, appreciated over time. I'm from the UK, so it's Great Britain pounds. Commenter 6, not the asshole, but you were incredibly foolish to leave the books there. Commenter 7, she could not take care of them where she was moving. She had no reason to believe her mother would not care for them. Apparently, Brian had not shown that he would steal her property. Commenter 6, she wrote that Brian abused her all throughout her childhood and her mother let it happen. Of course she should not have trusted them. OP responds, I didn't trust Brian, I trusted Jen. She had never withheld any of my books from me. If I asked for any, she would hand them over to me immediately. The family home has the appropriate storage for them. Jen was a failure of a parent in so many other ways, but when it came to my books, she wouldn't dare. Brian wanted to store some of his collection with mine, but Jen refused because she didn't want him having access to them. She was aware that he would try to pressure me to sell him some of my books, and this is one of those few things she did speak up about. Even yesterday, she was saying that she did not buy them, and that they are mine, but she will not stand up to Brian, who is claiming ownership of them. That is the issue. If she fails to do that, then she is as guilty as he is. Update, October 3rd, 2025, 2.5 weeks later. Am I the asshole for telling my parents that I will take them to the cleaners? The update. I'm sorry for leaving things so long. I was busy with the situation, then traveling, and I thought it would be best to leave things until it was fully resolved. It has been a little over 2 weeks, but it has felt like an eternity. I'll start off by saying there is good news and bad news. The good news! I got my books back, all of them, unscathed. They are physically in my possession and will remain in my care indefinitely. The bad news? I did not take Jen and Brian to the cleaners. Ultimately, my goal was to get my books back, no matter the route I had to take to do so. I'm sure you'll mostly agree that it was a good outcome either way, even if I'm not suing my parents. I'll keep the rest of this as brief as possible. After speaking with Tom, I had already contacted my lawyer to set things in motion. They had advised that they would contact Jen and Brian as a matter of urgency. Not long after speaking with me, Jen had contacted Ruth to try and convince her to get me to speak with her. It was only going to be her attempt to get me to back down. I do not bluff, and she knows this. Ruth said she told Jen that she hopes I do follow through with things, and then she ended the call. Jen tried to call back. Ruth ignored her. Then it was Tom's turn. Jen tried to get Tom to talk to me and Ruth. Jen was still in agreement that my books were mine, but Brian still was not having any of it, and Jen was not putting him in his place. Tom said he agreed with what I was doing. I was told that Brian was shouting obscenities about me in the background, things like, ungrateful bitch. You get the picture. Tom told me they deserved it, and so much more. My lawyer had contacted them on my behalf 2 days later. All contact with me was to go through the firm from then on. This is what Jen told me happened after they were contacted as I was packing up. It was a one-sided discussion. She told Brian that he needed to stop trying to claim my books. If he was intent on keeping them, he needed to make me an offer of their current value plus 30%. But if I said no, it means no. How honorable of her. Brian was still adamant he didn't need to offer me anything because the books already belong to them, and I won't be getting anything. He also did not seem to think that I would win a legal battle against them, despite Jen confirming I had everything that meant they were guaranteed to lose. A couple more days later, my lawyer said that Jen reached out to them on her own and said that she wanted me to retrieve all of my books. I had already made them aware that Brian was an issue because of his presence at the family home, but she assured them that he would be gone for the whole day out of our city. Some days ago, I arranged for suitable transportation for the books to my house. A few days ago, I went to collect the books. When I got to the family home, Brian's car was not in the garage or front patio, which they always are whenever he is home, so I proceeded into the house. I know he would have tried to provoke me, even though I'm not a violent person, because he wants to have a way to make me squirm. I walked right past Jen and went to where the books were. Brian has never been granted access by Jen, so they were perfectly secure, and I loaded them all into the van. It took a while. Brian won't notice they're gone because he has never been able to get into that room, and Jen probably won't say anything. Even if she does, neither of them know my address. Jen was talking to me throughout, trying to get me to sit with her to speak like adults. She was saying cliche things like she regrets how she treated me and blah blah blah. If she had said all of this years ago, maybe I would have listened, but even now, I had to retrieve my own possessions in secret because she couldn't stand up for me as she should have. Words are empty. I did not say a word the entire time. My lawyer said everything that needed to be said, including that as long as Jen and Brian do not try to falsely make claim to my books, the matter was resolved once they were returned to my custody. Once I finished loading everything, I returned my keys to the family home. Jen tried to convince me to keep them, but I have no intent of returning them. The truth is, that place stopped being the family home the day Brian moved in. I have zero happy memories of it. My old room makes me sad to think about, because it is a constant reminder that it was the only place I was permitted to be. Even writing this hurts. I needed my parent to look out for me. She failed in all other aspects apart from these books. I wish Jen had loved me like a parent should. But yes, I have my books back. That's a good outcome. Thank you for the earlier support on the previous post. That is all from me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. That's a good update, OP. Your family is your siblings. I kind of feel bad for Jen because she will soon find out she's alone in the world, the moment she realizes what kind of scum Brian is, but just a wee little bit bad. OP. She and Brian have their own child now. They got their wish, and I hope it was worth it. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. Glad you got your books. I imagine Brian has browbeat your mother Jay to add him to the deed and leaving him everything if she passes first. I hope she realizes if she becomes ill and needs care, he won't do it, and I hope you won't either. OP responds, even if she does, she was never really my parent. They have their own child now. Brian made it clear that we would not get anything from him once he dies, not that we expected or wanted anything. He would say, my children will get everything I have. You are not my children. Your mother will probably leave you something, but she will need to provide for our children first. Such a lovely man. Jen once told me that she wouldn't add their biological children to her will because Brian will leave them everything he has. Either way it goes, I'll be okay. OP on the descriptions of her books. I have a mixed collection. First edition books and rare and valuable comics make up the majority. Commenter 3. What happened with your sister's books? Were they indeed gone? Is she going to sue them? Would she have the same proof that you have? How did your mother keep the books away from him for all this time? Opie responds, Ruth mentioned selling some to Jen and Brian years ago, maybe 10 now. She didn't want to sell them, but she needed the money to move out. The only way Brian was going to allow Jen to give it to her was in exchange for some books. If I had known at the time, I would have given her the money myself. I found out years later. There are boxes of books that belong to Ruth still in the room. She said she will keep them there for now. I will help her move them when the time comes. The ones Jen and Brian bought were removed long ago to his own storage. It's a little difficult to explain how the room is, but the door is a heavyweight security door. It has a smart lock, and Brian never got access to it. Imagine a more regular-looking safe room. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. Entering the room triggers the security system, like going home and having to put the alarm code in. Jen never needed to use this room once we got older, so Ruth and I were permitted to change the code. This ensures that Brian could never enter without us knowing, even if Jen betrayed us by giving him the code to the door, which she never has. Jen upgraded the security after Brian moved in. It is, in essence, a multi-purpose panic room. I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain it any better. I hope it is clear. Commenter 4. I'm glad you got your books back, and have you ever thought of going to either therapy or some form of counseling, just someone to talk to about your parents' neglect? OP responds, Jen put me in therapy when I was a teenager, and I still do sessions now. Seeing her face as I left made me feel empty. She looked sad, but I felt mostly nothing. Now I feel something. I will request some sessions with my therapist. Closure is best. Thank you. I get the impression that the mom still cares for her kids, but can't show it around the stepdad because of how he's acted. And for some reason she still cares about the stepdad and has chosen him over the children, so there's not really a ton of sympathy coming from me on that one. Like, it's clear from how some of her behavior is that she still wants a relationship and she still wants to be around her kids, but I don't think she's realized that by allowing Brian to pretty much run the show and push them away, that they want nothing to do with her. That the family that they have is only between the siblings. It's no longer including their mother. And that was pretty damn telling by the fact that the entire time, their mom was never called Mom. It was always by their first name. And that alone just speaks volumes. I'm glad that OP got their books back, because first edition books can go for a lot. Like a first edition book from the 1800s or even 1900s, with considering the fact that these were inherited, those books, some of them can be upwards to $100,000 plus. So yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that they have a book collection that's worth in the 7 figures, without a doubt. Also, with the way that OP was actually responding to some of the comments, it was pretty damn clear they had spoken to a lawyer about procedure and how things could and should be done and what was out of the question. Good luck, OP, and I hope you find some peace in your lives with your siblings, because sounds like y'all have really been through the ringer thanks to Brian. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.